Right, so I've got an empty spot here. Gotta fill it with something. Right here, it's the synth. Yeah, we're gonna put it right there. I now feel complete. Hello and welcome to attaQ. My name is Jakob. I'm your host and you're watching a hack vlog. So in this vlog, I want to talk about what monkStep really is. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I released a track a few days ago. And not only that, I also released a really beautifully looking music video containing that track, of course, with some awesome shots featuring my Yamaha TC800D tape recorder. This thing is actually a year older than me, so it's 40 years old and it still works. And if you're one of those saying, hey Jacob, tapes, they're not good, why would you do this? And I'll be like, I like this, that's why I use it. When it comes to genres, I usually try to stay away from putting genres on my music. Whenever you tag something with a genre, you're limiting your audience. But I made a genre, it's called monkStep, and it's what this track is. So the way you make monkStep is you do dubstep, but you make sure that your dubstep has vocally sounding synth sounds. Now, some of you might be jumping out of your seats, wanting to write some angry comments at me saying, hey Jacob, there's nothing new about vocally sounding synth sounds in dubstep tracks, and you'd be absolutely right. But I am talking about something very specifically here. I'm talking about monkStep, so stick with me and I'll clarify my genre further. Now, there is one thing that has been very commonly used inside dubstep music, and that is talking bass sounds. And the way that these are made are usually with a bit crusher, because bit crushers can make a bass sound or any other type of sound very vocal. You can clearly hear how the bass becomes more vocally sounding, almost as if someone's singing it, when using a bit crusher. And that's not the technique I use to make my sounds, and that's why they sound different. Now, I will be getting into my own technique of making these sounds, but there's more to monkStep that needs to be said. You see, the flavor of these vocally sounding sounds has to, Jacob, it actually has to sound a bit like Tibetan monk throat singing. Yes, like Tibetan monk throat singing. This is something that Buddhist monks do during rituals. And so the sounds inside monkStep should have the same flavor. Not only that, the rest of the sounds in the background and stuff need to have kind of a ritualistic, spiritual feel to them. And one of the sounds I used to get that kind of spiritual, ritualistic feel in the background of my Amida monkStep track was a sound I made using Sunriser synth. Now, this preset is actually available inside a free preset pack. There's 32 patches in there, and they all have this spiritual feel to them. I'll put a link in the description to the video where I'm demoing these sounds, and you'll have the download link down in the description of that video. Now, I'm not a very spiritual person. In fact, I'm a very scientifically minded person. But I do like some of the practices of certain cultures, musical practices. And the Buddhist monk singing techniques is just something that I love a lot. Now, there are other cultures that uses this same technique of throat singing, like the Tuvan people or some Inuits. And you could use sounds from any of these cultures using this same type of singing technique to cut off samples and make some awesome throat step. But that's what I would call it, throat step. Because for it to be monkStep, it has to sound as close to Tibetan monk throat singing as possible. Okay, so something that is really important to me when I make monkStep is the sound of the bass sounds. The bass sounds really needs to talk, really needs to sing, really needs to sound throaty, voicey, and monkishly? They need to sound monk-esque, monk-like? And regarding the bass sounds, Now, a lot of people were asking me like, hey, is that Nave you're using there to make those sounds? Just have a listen to this. Pretty cool, right? I just love this part the best. Now, the way I made that is not by using 1 or 2 synthesizers. You see, the bass is talking, and the talking is actually me. I recorded those vocally sounding bass sounds by singing through iVoxel, and the other vocals in there, I used Harmony Voice. These are 2 apps made by Veersynth. They're my most favorite vocal FX apps on the App Store, bar none. I've learned how to say bar none. Thank you for that, viewers. I used to say bar and done. Okay, so to clarify, the process of making those types of throaty bass sounds is basically like this. I talk and or sing through iVoxel. It's a vocoder app, and so the pitch can be controlled with a keyboard, and sometimes I sequence this, sometimes I just play it freely while processing my vocals through it. After I've recorded my snippets of ah, yeah, yo, yeah, and other type of Tibetan monk type words, they're not really real words because I don't know the language, but I try to sound as close as to what they're doing basically when they're singing. So when that is recorded, I then heavily process the audio. I filter so much because when a sound comes out of a vocoder, it many times has these harsh frequencies in it that needs to be removed. And so I have to filter it very meticulously. So when I'm done processing that sound, I make sure to filter off some of the low ends, and I replace that with a synth sound, usually a sub-bass synth. And normally I just use a sine wave or a triangular wave filtered off a bit. In the case of Amida, I used Propellerhead's Thor. You know, the synthesizer you choose to make your sound, regardless of the genre, really doesn't matter. It all depends on what you do with it, how you filter it, how you compress it. Yeah, really, what you do with it. There are some people that will tell you, hey, this synth is best for that synth is best for that. I wish that people wouldn't think like that, because when you don't think like that, that's when you really experiment with stuff. And that's how you make new, interesting sounds. It's the most fun of making music, actually exploring it. Because as soon as you start making music and you get to the mixing part and the mastering part, it all just becomes a chore. And that's not why we all started doing this. Unless if you're a mastering engineer, which in that case, you're awesome. You're awesome for doing what you do. Now, even though I don't think there is certain synthesizers for certain genres, there are some synthesizers that just are perfect for certain genres. And I'd say that if you want to make monkStep or vocally sounding stuff without having to sing through a vocoder or, you know, just use your voice, then Nave, as mentioned before, really is a good option. I'd also recommend Propellerhead's Thor because it's got a Foreman filter in there. By the way, Sugarbyte's synthesizer, unique for both iPad and iPhone, also has a Foreman filter in it. Yeah, so go check those out. I used to listen to a lot of trance music and a lot of psychedelic trance, and one of my most favorite bands were Astral Projection. Now, these are 2 guys from, I think they're from Tel Aviv, Israel, or maybe not Tel Aviv, I'm not really sure, but they're from Israel, and I've been listening to all of this stuff for many, many years. Now, Astral Projection, they used a lot of these monk throat singing samples, and they chopped it up rhythmically, and I've done that a lot in the past too. So I got it from them, but that was psychedelic trance. Now, when I'm doing it now, it's dubstep mixed with that thing, so it's monkStep. But I don't like genres, but I do like monkStep because monkStep is awesome. This vlog is so weird. I woke up this morning and I didn't know what to do. I feel really sick. I have kind of a fever going on right now. And so I'm a bit sweaty and I'm a bit lightheaded, and I've had to drink several gallons of water in between takes just to keep myself cool and hydrated. I'm getting sick, and I can't get sick because I have a very important thing I need to do this week with someone from somewhere. And I just realized I can't talk about that. I don't really know where this vlog is going. I really don't know where this vlog is going. You know, I feel really uncomfortable making these vlogs with me in it like this, because over the years, my stomach has begun to grow. I'm building up some fat over here, and I feel a little bit uncomfortable. So sometimes I sit like this, and my girlfriend is like, "Hey, Jacob, stop it. You're being ridiculous." And she's right, I'm being ridiculous. That's what monkStep really is. I'd also recommend that you go check out my Bandcamp and have a listen to the Amida track if you haven't heard it yet, and maybe some of my mellow music. I've got 6 songs ready for that album so far, and I'm still working on it. And I think I said like sometime last year when I did an interview with Martin Zolko, he was here in Stockholm and he did an interview with me. I'll put the link down in the description so you can go listen to it. In that interview, I say that I stopped making music because I spent so much time making videos, and I never felt like I could find the time for making music, because when I can't do both. I either do this or that. But it seems like I've found a balance in my life where I can focus a lot on videos and a lot on music, and I did that by limiting the amount of videos I put out and try to increase the production value and the amount of time I spent with each video, so I can make just the best content I can for you viewers. And so that has given me time to make music instead. So I've been making music and it feels great. I mean, of course it feels great. I'm a musician. So why don't you go check out my Bandcamp? If you find something you like, then buy a track or two if you like the music. Just don't force yourself to buy something you don't like. That's unnecessary. But that's a way of supporting me. You can also share the videos, and as I said, you know, the thumbs up really helps. So thank you so much for watching. All comments and ratings are very much appreciated. As usual, I wish you a very productive week. Now go finger all of your stuff and have a lot of fun doing it.